Who owns a masterpiece after it is stolen? Imagine a priceless painting hanging quietly in a museum. Visitors walk past it every day. They take photographs. They read the label. They admire the artist's name. Everyone believes the painting belongs there. But what if the painting was stolen decades ago? What if someone is still looking for it? And what if the person who owns it today did not steal it? Who owns a masterpiece after it is stolen? This is one of the most complicated questions in the art world, because a stolen artwork can pass through many hands. A thief may take it. A dealer may sell it. A collector may buy it without knowing its history. Another collector may inherit it. Eventually, it may enter a museum. By then, the original theft may have been forgotten. But the painting has not forgotten. Its history remains attached to it. The first problem is identifying the stolen artwork. Sometimes the evidence is obvious. A museum may have photographs of the painting before it disappeared. There may be an old inventory number, a police report, an insurance claim, an auction record, or a family photograph showing the artwork hanging inside someone's home. But sometimes the evidence is incomplete. The painting may have changed frames. Its title may have changed. The artist's name may have been spelled differently. The artwork may have been described incorrectly. And sometimes, the people searching for it have only a black and white photograph from decades ago. This is where provenance research becomes extremely important. Researchers reconstruct the artwork's journey. They ask where it was before the theft. Who owned it? Who purchased it? Where did it go afterward? Every gap becomes a clue. Sometimes a painting disappears for 20 years. Then it suddenly appears at an auction. The seller may not know that it is stolen. The auction house may not know either. But somewhere, an old record reveals a connection. The painting has been found, and now the real legal battle begins. Because finding a stolen painting does not automatically answer the question of who should receive it. Imagine that a collector purchased the artwork legally. They paid a large amount of money. They have a receipt. They have documents showing the sale. They genuinely believed they were buying a legitimate artwork. Years later, someone proves that the painting was stolen from another family. The collector may have been completely innocent, but the original owner may also be completely innocent. Who should win? Different countries have different laws. Legal systems can treat stolen property differently. There may also be questions about when the theft happened. Where it happened? When the owner discovered the loss. Whether the owner reported it. Whether the current possessor knew or should have known about the theft. This is why stolen art cases can take years, sometimes decades, and museums can become caught in the middle. One of the most painful chapters in this history involves artwork stolen during the Nazi era. During the Second World War, Jewish families and other victims were systematically robbed of artworks, antiques, and entire collections. Some objects were confiscated. Some were forcibly sold. Some disappeared into private collections. Others entered the international art market. After the war, many artworks were recovered, but thousands remained missing. Decades later, museums and families continue to investigate them. Imagine discovering that a painting in a museum once belonged to your family. Your grandparents owned it. Perhaps there's an old photograph showing it in their home. Then the family was forced to leave. The artwork disappeared. For generations, nobody knew where it went. Then one day, you see it hanging on a museum wall. That moment can change everything. The museum may begin a provenance investigation. Documents are collected. Old photographs are compared. Archives are searched. Legal experts become involved. The museum may negotiate with the family. Sometimes the artwork is returned. Sometimes the parties reach a settlement. Sometimes the museum keeps the artwork but provides compensation. And sometimes the dispute continues. The same basic questions appear in other parts of the world. Museums have collections containing objects acquired during colonial periods. Some communities argue that their cultural treasures were taken under circumstances that were unfair or coercive. Today, museums are increasingly examining those histories. An object may have been legally acquired according to the laws of a particular period. But legal ownership and ethical responsibility are not always the same thing. That distinction is changing the museum world. A museum may ask not only, do we legally acquire this object? But also, was the original transfer fair? Did the people who gave it away have a real choice? Does the community want it returned? And what responsibility does the museum have today? These questions can become especially difficult when an object has enormous cultural importance. A museum may have preserved it for generations, but the community from which it came may consider it part of its living heritage. So the debate is no longer simply about ownership. It is about identity, memory, justice, and responsibility. There's another problem. Sometimes the stolen artwork is damaged during the theft. A painting may be cut from its frame, rolled incorrectly, hidden in poor conditions, stored in a damp basement, or transported across borders without proper protection. When it is finally recovered, conservators may have to restore it. This creates another complicated question. Should the museum repair the damage completely? Or should some evidence of the theft remain visible? Once again, conservation and history become connected. A scar on the canvas may be evidence of what happened. Removing it can make the painting look beautiful again, but leaving it visible can preserve part of the story. And sometimes a stolen artwork is never recovered. It remains missing. Its photograph may appear on databases used by museums, collectors, police, and researchers. The painting may be somewhere in the world, inside a private home, a storage facility, an attic, or even another museum collection. The person holding it may not know what they have. That is why provenance records are so important. A museum cannot simply assume that an artwork is legitimate because someone owned it for a long time. A long chain of ownership does not automatically erase an earlier theft. The history has to be investigated. And this leads to one of the most important changes in the modern art world. Museums are becoming more transparent about their collections. Many institutions publish provenance information online. They invite researchers and families to come forward. They work with archives and international organizations. And when evidence shows that something was wrong, institutions increasingly have to confront that history. Because a museum's reputation is not built only on the masterpieces hanging on its walls. It is also built on how honestly it deals with the stories behind them. So who owns a masterpiece after it is stolen? Sometimes the answer is clear. Sometimes it is legally complicated. Sometimes it is ethically complicated. And sometimes, after decades of uncertainty, there may be no solution that makes everyone happy. But one thing is certain. A stolen artwork carries its history wherever it goes. It may cross borders, change owners, change frames, change names, disappear for decades. But the story of the theft remains part of the object. So the next time you stand before a beautiful masterpiece in a museum, remember that the most important label may not be the artist's name. It may be the story of how the painting got there. Because behind a museum's walls, there are not only stories of creativity. There are stories of loss, stories of war, stories of families searching for what disappeared, and sometimes stories of justice finally catching up with a masterpiece. Gallery Experience Hidden Stories Behind Art. Episode 14. Who owns a masterpiece after it is stolen?